Hello everyone. Just wanted to share with you guys this mod that I'm going to be trying, and it's basically taking a Optima 4S laser and putting it into a transport that normally accepts Optima 4. Now they're totally different connectors, as you can see, but I've read on the forums you could do this. And these lasers this is failed in the Krell KPS 25S that I've been working on, and these are ridiculously expensive when you do find them. Not really worth what they're asking in a lot of cases, but so I'm going to try to mod the board to where it will take this kind of connector. And so basically how I did that is now this is the connector that this flex originally came in that was on the board in the Krell JVC board, and I pulled now it's a JVC. I forget the prefix, but it ended up being 333 is the last part. And I took the connectors off that board and I put it on the higher JVC board. And I had to basically took the caps off and correlated every connection, and it's pretty sequential, starting, this ended up being pin 1, and the yellow pin I think ended up being pin 11, or I forget how many pins is on here, but sequential. Then the next pin started with the yellow pin, and I correlated it to the connectors on the Krell board. And due to the connections, I couldn't just directly connect the connectors because it's totally different. So I had to pull connectors off another JVC that would connect to the sockets that I'm going to be plugging these into. So the sockets go to a short piece of cable, then the connector, and these plug into the connector. And now I had to do that because these just physically, I basically would have to pull them out of the sockets if I wanted to directly connect them. And I wanted to have a socket in case I ever need to unplug them for some reason. So that's why I added a little bit of cable so I would still have a socket. Then I put hot glue in the cable, for stability's sake. And so basically, if you're looking at it, the connectors would just be sticking straight up, due to the hot glue out of the cable, and it's all pretty secure. So that's how I'm doing the connector. And if you try this yourself, don't go by the markings on the JVC board on the lower end JVC or the older JVC, because they're totally backwards to the connectors on this. Basically, just look at pin by pin connectors and do it that way versus trying to go pin 1 on that board being pin 1 on this, because it's not. It's basically backwards. So just wanted to throw that out there to prevent somebody from wiring up this backwards if you try it. But so I couldn't dig up any information basically in a nutshell to do this, so I just wanted to share how I'm doing it and show you guys results in just a little bit. Okay, so I just put the laser in and tried it. It didn't go as planned, so here's what happened. The laser would go back and forth, and the lens would go up and down, so it looked like it was trying to read it, but it actually wasn't. I put laser power meter on her, and even though it was going up and down, it was putting out no laser power. So now, if you need to check this, most people aren't going to have a laser power meter. You can use a phone to to make sure something's coming out, but so you can do that as well. So I went and retraced everything, and although at first glance it appeared that everything was laid out, pin by pin by pin, sequential, it turns out JVC got a little tricky here. After retracing everything, it appears they swapped pins 10 and 8 from the Optima 4 laser to the 4S, or whichever one come first. I don't know which come first, but they swapped pins 8 and 10. So it's a good thing that I didn't just solder the wires directly to the board. I put a connector, and that has a twofold thing. First, I can switch the cables out, between 8 and 10 without too much difficulty. And also, if this laser ever goes bad, I can just drop in and replace it and not have to do a bunch of resoldering, you know, where I initially did that. So, you know, this would be my preferred laser if it works right, you know, versus an original, just simply because these are so cheap in the used market, and the other ones are just impossible to find. So I'm going to switch pins 8 and 10, and I'll report, you know, how it works. Okay, I got the laser back in and switched the wires. Most connectors are really simple to switch the cables out, but I couldn't figure out the trick to this particular cable. I've never done this particular cable. Usually they're not that hard to figure out, so I just hardwired them and heat shrunk them, so you can probably see down in there. But so here goes. See, it's pretty scratched, so you know, if it'll play this one, it should play most of them. Okay. A little slow to read, but it read it. Maybe all the scratches. I'll put a mobile fidelity in, but it reads it, so let's see if it'll play. Yep. It's good to go to both ends of a disc when testing to see how something plays. It may need some, you know, eye pattern adjustment too, because, you know, just there may be slight differences in the laser. I'm not sure, you know, as far as how it was set in the previous player versus how it's set in this. So, you know, I downloaded the schematics for a different model. Krell doesn't have any schematics on this, or they don't release any to the public, but I downloaded some schematics from this same transport, but for a different model. It was a JVC, I believe, 999 maybe, can't remember, maybe 777, but seems to be playing okay. But like I say, it just looks like it's slow startup, but that could be just due to the, let me try mobile fidelity in here right quick. Mobile fidelities tend to be they're directly in the Red Book standard, you know, right in the middle, so they're actually pretty good to align. I use these for alignment too, because they're on the Red Book standard. I mean, they're right in the center there as far as where a CD should be. So, all right. This one's one you have to cut off and on. There's some little something as far as the startup circuitry. Yeah, see how it read the mobile fidelity right off. No qualm. So it could be the bad scratches on here, but see, it's got some really, yeah, see that really bad scratch? That really bad scratch is probably why. So, but anyway, I'm gonna, you know, make sure it's aligned to the standard of other transports in the same category, you know, the JVC style transports. But so that's all it was, you know. So you can actually do this. I read it on forums that it could be done, and I couldn't find any instructions. So the secret to it is find the correct ends, you know, and instead of being a pure sequential, I mean, it's mostly sequential, but you know, you just got to switch pins 8 and 10. That's the secret to making it work. So, well, I hope this will help somebody out, and y'all have a good one.